Welcome back, everybody. This is Tim with the University of Vinyl. If you're new here and you're tuning in because of what I'm going to talk about, consider subscribing to the channel. It just helps my channel with the algorithm of YouTube and hopefully finding some other interested people out there who might be interested in what I'm talking about. I'm talking about collecting records, and this is episode 4 of the Crown Jewels. This is a new series that I launched at the beginning of this year. I'm going to be featuring 25 separate videos that are highlighting the best sounding records in my collection, 25 of them. Episode 4, none other than a record that is mythological. It is legendary. It is Led Zeppelin II, the second Led Zeppelin record, of course. It was released on October 22nd, 1969 in the United States, and about a week later in the UK. That's interesting. And I want to talk about a particular pressing. It's known as the hot mix, the hot cut. The record was originally mastered by Robert Ludwig at Sterling Sound in New York City. It is a legendary cut that supposedly, as legend has it, the head of Atlantic Records in the United States, Amit Ertegun, I believe a test pressing or an early pressing that had been mastered by Robert Ludwig was given to his daughter, who had a cheap consumer grade turntable at the time. And because of the dynamics of the record and the energy of the music on those grooves, it caused her little record player to skip due to the thunderous bass and drums, notably from John Paul Jones and, of course, John Bonham. Now, the RL cut was on the original release with the catalog number of 8236, which you can find on the bottom of the sleeve. Of course, it's on the label as well. And there's a look at that cover. Of course, this was a gatefold presentation. I think everybody knows this record and what it looks like. Back in, I think, 1975, they moved to the 5-digit catalog number. And I also have circa 1972, 1973, a recut that was cut by George Piros. It's no slouch. It's a great sounding record. But when I put on the Piros record a half an hour ago, and I listened to Whole Lotta Love, track 1, side 1, and then I put on the RL Hot Cut. The differences were immediately clear. The RL Hot Cut had a wider soundstage. It had more power, more slam, more presence. Listening to Whole Lotta Love, when finally the drums kick in at the beginning of that song from Bonham, it is thunderous. And in tandem, you've got John Paul Jones on bass guitar. It's just, I don't want to be kind of streaming a bunch of cliches here, but it is a life-changing experience. If you have never heard the RL cut, you need to try and find one. And they are out there, ladies and gentlemen. I have found 2 RL cuts in the last 3 years. The first one that I found was at a record shop in Longmont, Colorado. They didn't know what they had. I paid $30 for it. It is a Columbia Pittman pressing. So CP is the end of the catalog number, -CP. And thankfully, this thing is really in near mint condition. I was absolutely shocked when I looked in the dead wax. They only had 1 copy of Led Zeppelin II. And clear as a day, you can see the etched RL on both sides. And to the right of RL, importantly, you want to find SS, and SS is kind of stacked, and it's much more fainter than that etched RL. It's hard to see, so you have to use a bright light. SS, of course, stands for Sterling Sound. Now, that's the Pittman pressing that I have. Other legendary pressings with RL are the Monarch cut and the Presswell cut. I have not heard those, so I couldn't tell you about them. Actually, I did find a Presswell, but this thing was in like good condition. Good meaning, you know, a Discogs grade. It was showing signs of heavy wear, heavy use. The spindle hole was in rough shape, and it was scratched up. This was a party record, ladies and gentlemen, so these were played. However, the RL cut was pulled from circulation very early on because Ahmet Ertegun determined this thing needed to be recut and tamed down, throttled a little bit, unfortunately. So that is what you are facing. Now, just let me tell you that Pyros cut from the early 70s and all the way up to, I think, 76, 77, 78, you can find those. Really good sounding presentation of Led Zeppelin II. However, on the RL cut, on Whole Lotta Love, when, you know, that song moves into that middle stanza, which is kind of the psychedelic, spacey part of that song, the cymbal hits from John Bonham, it sounds like you are in the room. And the guttural, you know, voicings of Robert Plant and the kind of backward guitar stuff that's coming from Jimmy Page, of course. Everything is swirling in the sweet spot, for me at least, and you're getting what we call holographic sound. It is a psychedelic, life-changing experience. The rest of the album is absolutely incredible as well, as far as soundstage and slam and punch and drive. It's just an incredible sounding record, and of course I had to feature this, so I decided to like throw this out today. I've had a couple of people ask me, "Hey, are you gonna talk about Led Zeppelin II, the RL cut?" Well, of course I am. Looking at the label, the early pressings, of course, have the 1841 Broadway address at the bottom of the label. Later on, they moved to Rockefeller Plaza, I believe, and you'll see that on later pressings on the bottom rim text. But the 1841 Broadway address are the first pressings, and then that first catalog number again, 8236. If you find a cover that has gold medal award on it, you'll know that is a later pressing because, hey, it had to sell so many copies to get that gold medal sticker distinction. Interestingly enough, Whole Lotta Love, actually, there are some lyrics that were lifted from the Willie Dixon song called You Need Love, and the best recording of that, of course, was from Muddy Waters. Now, there was a court case, Willie Dixon's estate versus Led Zeppelin. They settled out of court, and I think Robert Plant has admitted in interviews, I nicked some of the lyrics, and they were paid handsomely for it. So anyway, and then Page has also argued, hey, if you put on You Need Love by Willie Dixon, the Muddy Waters version versus the Led Zeppelin version, it's an entirely different piece of music, a different feel, a different creative effort. But, you know, lyrics don't lie, and there were too many similarities here to be denied. One more look at this incredibly shiny, great sounding pressing of Led Zeppelin II. I have run across a UK Plum that was kind of beat up. I love the Pyros cut that I have, but this thing, an RL cut, is heads and shoulders above the rest. Unfortunately, these things are rising on Discogs. I'm going to show a little screenshot of the exact pressing that I have. The median is going up. Finding these in good condition is becoming increasingly difficult. But again, let me just remind everybody, I have found 2 RL cuts in the last 3 years. So never stop looking, never stop believing. Don't give up. Know what to look for. It's really simple. You just want to find etched RL on either side of the record in the dead wax and look for that little very faint SS for sterling sound. Thank you, everybody. That has been episode number 4 featuring Led Zeppelin II, the RL Hot Cut, which is one of the best sounding records in my collection. Take care.